over here on the campus of Alabama State University. Over here at the Carter Hill Road entrance. And as you can see right here, we're at the entry of Alabama State University. So just to give a little background on Alabama State, it was founded in 1867, so this was during the Reconstruction era after the Civil War. And it wasn't until 20 years later that the campus moved to Montgomery, and it actually got its start in Marion, Alabama, which is roughly an hour and a half west of Montgomery. So that's where this university actually started, and it started off as a small school called the Normal School of Colored People. And then gradually over the years it grew in enrollment, and here we are. In 1969 is when it became an Alabama State University. So it went from Alabama State College. It had multiple name changes actually. It went from the State Teachers College to the Alabama State College for Negroes to the Alabama State College until 1969, where it finally gained its permanent name of Alabama State University. So you can see right there, there's the Dome Stadium right there. Security post. So as of today's date, it is Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024. Pretty sunny day out. Right now we're like in the mid 60s, so not too bad. So right there is the Dunn Oliver Acadome, which was constructed in 1992. It is home to the Alabama State Hornets basketball team, both men and women. So I'm gonna go ahead and cross right here. That's the Abernathy Annex building. Now, Alabama State is a historically black university. Here's some banners of some of the administrators of Alabama State. You have right here Joe Lee, the president from 2001, 2008. Here's another one right here. I believe looks like these buildings over here are abandoned. Looks like they used to be dorm rooms or apartments or something along those lines. Look like they were apartment buildings though, but they look abandoned. But behind that looks like that's like a modernized building. Could be potentially residence halls. Here's another historic building right here. This is the Ralph David Abernathy Hall. As this is Montgomery, a lot of buildings would be named after historical prominent civil rights leaders, such as Mr. Ralph David Abernathy. Right over here is the Alabama State University Life Science Building. Compared to a lot of other buildings on the campus, this looks relatively new. Now right here we have the Alabama State University, or ASU Stadium, home of the Alabama State football team. Here's a side of it. And this stadium is not that old. It's actually only been here for perhaps close to 12 years. Anywhere between 11, 12 years. So it's still relatively new. You can tell it's modern as far as the architectural structure of it. We just passed the will call area. Now this is over here around the scoreboard area of the stadium. Let us march on till victory is won. Lift every voice and sing, James Weldon Johnson. Yes, lift every voice and sing. A very, very popular Negro spiritual. Now this right here is the Montgomery Interpretive Center. This building doesn't look like it's been here that long either. Another one of the several civil rights museums. Commemorates the Selma to Montgomery March. And here it is, the front of the building. And again, this is right on the campus of Alabama State University, part of the Selma to Montgomery National Historic Trail. So apparently there are many other buildings and monuments that go beyond just the you know, the residential halls and the study halls that are typically associated with the university. I mean, there's museums and things of that nature on the campus as well. This is another one of the entryways. This is actually on Harris Way, the Harris Way entrance to the campus. But right here is the home of the birthplace actually of Nat King Cole. So I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with Nat King Cole and his daughter Natalie Cole. But yeah, Nat King Cole, his heyday was actually in the 40s and the 50s. So we're talking around the Harlem Renaissance era. And here's the marker. He was a jazz pianist, composer, and singer, celebrated as an American popular music artist in the 40s and 50s. So he was born March 17th, 1919 in Montgomery, Alabama, as one of 5 children to Edward James Cole, a minister at Beulah Baptist Church in Montgomery, and Perlina Adams Cole, who sang in the choir. So yeah, it's like gospel and jazz and blues just basically ran through his veins, you know. So here it is, the single-story house. Not very big, but you know, this is where he was born. And here is another historical marker. And this and also building. This is the home of Ralph David Abernathy, and this is his marker. So Ralph David Abernathy also graduated from Alabama State, and he was a pastor at First Baptist Church here in Montgomery. So he collaborated with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and a whole bunch of other civil rights activists, and they organized the Montgomery bus boycott. So yes, here's the home right here. There goes the steps leading up to the home. And would you look at there, it's like, I wonder if this was like this is the driveway right here. At first I thought it was a garage, but this is like the driveway. It's pretty neat. I did not know these structures were on the campus, you know, the home of Ralph David Abernathy and the birthplace home of Nat King Cole. It's your boy P9 coming at you with more footage of downtown. Actually, I'm south of downtown Montgomery, but this is a very nice piece of architecture right here. It's called the Knox Hall. It was built in the 1840s, and this building is obviously still up and running. You can actually have weddings, engagements, graduations, banquets. So you can book all of those events in this particular building right here that's been standing since 1840. Mind you, this was pre-Civil War. Lots of buildings like that here in Montgomery. See a few of those buildings right over here. These houses are occupied by attorneys. This building right here is the First Baptist Church of Montgomery. Nicely architected. Oh, there's more right there. That's the other part of the building. It's more to the First Baptist Church right over here. So these are two buildings. It's the same building, but they're, I guess, two separate wings. It's another church building right here. I'm actually on Perry Street, the corner of Perry and Adams. Go ahead and walk down this way. Come down Adams Avenue. And that sun is really out here today compared to when I did a couple of days ago when I did my first downtown video. The sun was hiding all day. It was playing a little bit of peekaboo, but for the most part, it was hiding out Monday. Today is a different story. It's a sunny 70 degrees outside right now. And it's after 6 o'clock in the evening as we speak. Not quite sure what's going on over here. It looks like it's a parking lot for this church building, but this church building looks abandoned. So I don't know what they plan on doing with this particular site. But over here is the is an AT&T building. Now right here on the Civil Rights Heritage Trail, we have another historical site. This is the Greyhound station, or it used to be the Greyhound station, and it is now the Freedom Rides Museum. So there's a bunch of exhibits that pertain to the freedom rides and the civil rights era back in the 60s. So here's like a timeline right over here. Segregated transportation facilities. They had colored waiting rooms and colored bathrooms, segregated, basically segregated facilities. There goes Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his quote about segregation. the Freedom Riders, Carol Ruth Silver. Here's Bayard Rustin. So a lot of this Freedom Riders, these particular events took a lot of organization. This was a bus that was firebombed by the Ku Klux Klan near Anniston, Alabama. Very dangerous situation, obviously. Francis Bergman. So not all the Freedom Riders were black. It was some whites involved as well in the fight for freedom and equality. Here's a sticker right here. Here goes another brother that you guys, I'm pretty sure, recognize. John Lewis. He was only 21 years old at the time. This all went down in 1961. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. So it was a lot of people, young and old. And here are the mug shots for a lot of the Freedom Riders that were arrested. During the protests. And see, I don't know why it is, but every time, like basically when I first saw this building, the first thing I could think about is that episode of the Boondocks in the 4th season. You guys know what I'm talking about. Those who watch the Boondocks. The 4th episode where Robert Freeman, you know, as a young man, boarded the wrong bus. He intended to go to Chicago, but he ended up boarding a bus full of Freedom Riders, and he wasn't, you know, he wasn't feeling that. He wanted to go to Chicago. Instead, he was on the bus bound for Birmingham. It's just, that's the first like thing that came to my mind when I saw that building. I just thought that was worth noting. Matter of fact, I just saw that episode last night. That wind is really picking up. Now this is another historical building right here. It's the Frank Johnson Federal Building. And it was named after an historic like district judge by the name of Frank Menace Johnson Jr. He actually served as a circuit judge in the Court of Appeals, the Fifth Circuit rather, in the Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. So he served in the federal courts for almost 45 years. And the reason why I mentioned Mr. Johnson is because he made very, very important rulings as it pertained to the civil rights and ending segregation and disenfranchisement of African Americans in the South. He actually grew up in a small town in northern Alabama. The town was called Haleyville. So, and he was a Republican. So this is just one part of the building. As I approach Church Street, see the courthouse steps right here. Another marker that gives some historical perspective. See at the bottom it says Judge Johnson presided over cases authorizing the Selma to Montgomery March in 1965 and the Freedom Riders or the Freedom Rides in 1961, requiring that women and blacks be allowed to serve on allowed to serve on Alabama juries, desegregating the Alabama State Police, and requiring the extension of mental health treatment to persons institutionalized for mental illness. So this Frank Johnson was a big deal, man. He presided over some really, really huge cases. So Frank Johnson seemed like he was definitely for the people. Didn't matter what race you were. That's pretty dope. Now here goes Troy University. Again, this is Troy University, the Montgomery campus. Keep in mind, Troy University's main campus is located in Troy, Alabama, which is roughly an hour's drive from Montgomery. Oh wow, this is neat. This is still part of the Frank Johnson courthouse right here. This building is massive. I mean, I guess it has to be. If it's a circuit court, it has to be pretty good size. I want to get a close-up of these trees and this fountain right here in the center. So it looks like this is the main entrance, the front entrance to the courthouse. So a nicely sculpted fountain right here in the center. I like that sculpture of that head right there too. It's pretty dope. Get this sign right here, Troy University. The flower bed sitting right here in front. You see the roses over here. Really nice. This is a spring, so looks like the roses have bloomed. Nice little park right here. Take in some relaxation. Here goes the statue of the mascot of Troy University. This is the Trojan. Nicely sculpted statue right there. And I also wanted to get this dove right here, the statue of a dove. course, the dove symbolizes peace, and peace is what is needed on earth. Peace needs to be restored on earth, and the dove definitely symbolizes peace. The Violata Pax dove. The Violata Pax dove, the wounded peace, was created in 2006 by artist Fred Nall Hollis, a native son of Alabama. So the dove was sculpted in white bronze and came to life in a foundry in Pietrasanta, Italy. It was generously gifted to Troy University by the artist. So shout out to the artist Fred Hollis. Beautiful piece of artwork right here. So that will conclude this portion of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did enjoy, please hit the like button and also hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell as well in order to get notifications every time I post. So until the next time, guys, stay blessed, stay safe, and peace. I'm out.